Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me again today. Welcome to Hala. Hala is a place where we share things that smart people have already said. Today, we're dealing with something really practical: how to start a business that is guaranteed to deliver profit for you every month. This is a topic that a lot of people have requested, so we decided to go ahead and do it. It's something that I've done for myself, basically, over the years, and I've also walked a number of persons through this. So it's a field that I am certain that I know a number of things in. So I just want to share with you all of the strategies that have worked for me over the years and stuff that we've also seen other people implement in their business and it has turned out right. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. We're breaking this into three different parts because it's a bit long. There are three basic things you need to put in place if you need to run a business or start a business that generates profit every month for you to be able to cover your expenses. So the first thing you want to consider is to play in a large addressable market, right? So you want to solve a problem for a lot of people, not just a limited number of persons. The second thing that you need is to be able to clearly define your value proposition. And the third thing that you need is to develop an effective distribution channel. Now, these three go hand in hand. Solve big problems, right? And the next thing you want to do is to be able to tell people why your solution is better than what they currently use. And the third ingredient is to be able to show, despite the odds, you would be able to reach your market. If you don't have a distribution strategy in place, you might have the greatest products that can solve the most painful problems, but if you don't have an effective vehicle to transport your solution to the desired customer, nobody is going to patronize you. In other words, you're not building a business. So these three go hand in hand. We're breaking this topic into three different sections. So it's going to be like a series, part one, all through to part three. So today we're starting with the first: solve a problem for a large addressable market. Why? Playing in a very small niche is really nice. I mean, it's good. You're able to control all of the moving pieces and it makes sense. I mean, you don't get to stress yourself. The problem with that though is that just a limited number of persons need the solution that you're building, right? So that means limited number of persons have that problem you're trying to solve, and if just a few persons are paying you for the service of whatever you're offering, then you're not going to make a lot of money. Remember, we're talking about a business that is able to deliver sustainable profits a month over month, right? So that's what we'll focus on. So for you to do this, you need to target a large market. The market has to be large. It has to be a lot of persons that are experiencing that pain and need a solution for it now. So that's the first thing that you need. So let me break this down a bit so we understand what I'm talking about. The wedding industry is a very large industry. Every weekend people are getting married, right? That means people are getting married every weekend. Now here's the thing: if you're a service provider and you're targeting the wedding industry, I'm going to use two examples. So let's assume what you're doing is you're selling flower bouquets, right? I mean, the bridal trail and all those people, they need the flower bouquets to be able to perform their duties. But it's a limited market because you sell 6, 7, maybe 10 maximum every weekend, or you even hire them out, right? So it's a limited market. Compare that to let's say person B, who doesn't sell bouquet but also services the wedding industry, but in this case what person B does is to handle food, right? You know, of course, that the budget for food is going to be maybe 100, 200 times more than the budget for getting a bouquet. And then you can also overlook a bouquet, like the flowers. I mean, they're nice, they make everywhere look beautiful, but if you attend the wedding and the flower girls are not holding flower, I mean, you just talk about it and laugh, right? But if you attend a wedding and there is no food, that's something that you talk about, right, for a while. That's it. So that's a major pain. So both services, both the person selling bouquets and the one bringing the food, both are offering a service to fulfill a need in the wedding industry. However, one is significantly larger than the other. Now, what I'm telling you is, for you to be able to build a sustainable business that is able to deliver profits the way you want, you need to be able to target a market that has a lot of people feeling that pain and they need the pain solved immediately. So I've broken down industries that have large total addressable markets, so you don't have to. But it's just a few. It's not an exhaustive list. So food or feeding is a major industry where people need to eat every day. So food, major industry where if you have a restaurant, people come in and eat, or you do the agric part of it, which is a more difficult part, I believe, farming, and then you bring the produce that has to get distributed to the market at the end of the day. You're also in the food industry, and then there's just a whole lot of services that can be provided around that. Another industry that has a large total addressable market is the transportation industry, right? So we just talked about food. Now, even for that, let me show you how transportation can plug in. A lot of the farms that supply food usually are located in deep places, right, with poor road network. So a lot of these farmers know how to produce and do their job really well. However, getting the produce from the farm to the market is a major challenge for them. So you can already see how transportation is able to solve problems even within the food industry. But then again, transportation on its own is a really large industry. I mean, people need to move from place to place every single day. We're not there yet where all of our meetings are going to happen via Zoom or weird kind of large teleconferencing screen, all those things. We're not quite there yet. We still need to move from place to place every day, every single day. People still move from point A to point B, and whether for work, whether to visit family and friends, whether for events, or for any reason, people do need to move, right? And transportation is something that if you're solving problems around the industry of transportation, you're going to be guaranteed to get money every day, right? Because it's a service that literally millions or billions of people need daily. So remember, we're talking about solving big problems, right? So transportation, another big area where you can develop solutions for. Another big area I'm going to talk about is the area of communication. We need to talk to people every day. So how do you reach out to friends and family? How do you do business? You get to connect with people, right? So what's your favorite means of talking with people? Over the phone? So communication. You can see it's a big industry. We're talking about solving big problems. People need to talk every day. So regardless of whether they're talking via airtime or they're using WhatsApp or Messenger or related services, you can see that being a service provider in this area is massive. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's capital intensive to go into this industry, and I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just letting you know opportunities for you to plug in into the industry. For instance, you could be a reseller of maybe airtime or internet data. It's very easy to get into, not capital intensive if you're playing, if you're solving the small problems that are inherent in the communication industry. So you can see how you can easily get into the industry. But communication is a big deal. People need to talk every day. People need to be able to reach out to other people every day. Look for a solution in the communication industry you can deploy. And one more thing under communications, brands need to be able to communicate their message better. So we also have several services that could be rendered to big brands, and I'm talking about the advertising industry. It's directly under communications, right? So, and when you talk about that, you also then branch off into the people who do creative work like copywriting, those who do the graphics, those who do the voiceovers, those who do videos, and then suddenly, because you're trying to solve a problem of communication, helping brands communicate better, you suddenly have to now hire a whole lot of people. So the videographers come in, and then the makeup artists come in, and then you have a lot of things. So you can see how interconnected it is. Another big area you can deploy a solution for is in housing. Shelter is a basic need for man. Now, hold that thought. I'm not asking you to go into real estate. It's capital intensive. Of course, if you can, you should. If you want to. However, there are services like Airbnb that target the housing industry. They help resolve the challenge of having to spend time in a hotel or going to a new city and you have no idea who to connect with or where to stay, even if it's for a short stay. And then there is another big industry within the housing industry. First, I should let you know that if you were able to set up a basic platform and do a bit of vetting, maybe using social media and letting people submit guarantors, you could start renting out your room just like Airbnb. It's a simple business model to copy. I mean, there are inherent risks, but if it's something that you're passionate about, you can start a service around that and easily start making money, especially if you live in a nice area or in an area that has a lot of traffic inflows, right? So that's something that you want to consider. So Airbnb or a model like that is something that you could look into. But there is also another area that I just want to quickly touch. It's the short-let industry. So expats or expatriates just coming into a country who want to experience home away from home would opt to stay in a short-let apartment, like a fully furnished apartment. So instead of going to a hotel, I mean, they want to cook their own food and all those things and experience and feel like they are home and handle stuff for themselves. So the short-let industry, where you have a fully furnished apartment and everything is readily available for people to live at home, away from home. I mean, that's a booming industry. And lastly, I just want to touch on payment as a major industry. Now, like I said, it's not an exhaustive list. There are a whole lot of things that I'm not touching, but just to give you a basic idea to understand fully what I'm talking about when I say you should build for large markets, so you can understand where payment comes in, right? It's big, and payment is actually big, and it's going to grow. That's because a major way we're able to pay for value is using money, right? So payment is always going to increase, is always going to get bigger. So you can tell that it's an industry that still needs a lot of innovation, regardless of how it appears that all of the solutions have already come to bear. But that's not the case. Payment still needs a whole lot of revamp and innovation. And if this is an industry that you're playing in, you're on track. So I'll just end this here. Remember, everything we talked about has been broken down better and more in depth in our newsletter, right? So if you subscribe to our newsletter, which is free, you'd get a better analysis and in-depth view of what we're talking about. So I'll end this year, and we have 2 more sessions under this same topic of building a business that can generate profits for you every month, right? So next time we're going to talk about developing a clear value proposition and how you go about that, and right after that we'll round up by talking about effective distribution channels for your business. Because as we have established, if you have the greatest business and the greatest solution, but you don't have an appropriate vehicle to channel your solution to the end user, you're not building a business. So thank you so much for joining me again today.
Thank you for joining us today. Stay ahead in business by following Hal's Daily Insights.